Hi, welcome to valuationpodcast.com, a podcast and video series about all things related to business and valuation. My name is Melissa Gragg, and I provide divorce valuation and mediation services in St. Louis, Missouri. Today, we will discuss active and passive appreciation of separate property in divorce with the esteemed Dr. Ashok Abbott, who is an associate professor of finance at West Virginia University. He is the founder of Business Valuation, Inc., where he provides value by determining statistical significance, validating economic models, and providing rigorous empirical analytical support. So basically, just a super expert at research and all things valuation. One thing that you also mentioned, which I think it would be helpful for people to understand, and this goes in line with how the states are different. But can you explain to us how marital property is distributed, or like what a community property state is? Because we talked about equitable distribution, which again is a different concept, but let's first talk about community property states.
Right. For example, California is a community property state. Okay. So there, it's very interesting. Since family law is essentially an area of equity, there the fairness concept is inbuilt into it. Mm-hmm. So even, for example, California, they were the very first ones to have no-fault divorce, and then they really changed the world. Interestingly enough, it happened at the same time that man was setting foot on the moon for the first time. 1969 is a very important year in that. Now, once they did that, however, they again go back to the same kind of fairness analysis, even though they are not explicitly calling it that. You would be familiar with the two doctrines that California follows: Van Camp, Pereira. Those are the two kind of seminal case law streams that have developed there. And again, even though they don't call it that, but it's essentially, they say, if the appreciation is majority by effort, or is it majority by economic conditions? And then the distribution follows. So they do that, but they start from a different premise that this is the part that we are looking at.
Yeah, and it's kind of the difference between active and passive appreciation. Right. When we're talking a little bit about it, because we're going to get into talking. I mean, you can look at marital and separate property of businesses, of bank accounts, of securities. So a lot of different assets. We're kind of focused on the valuation for business. Today. Right. Yes.
Today we are looking at another day we can start looking at how to trace them and how to track, for example, investment accounts.
Yes.
That's a whole different hour. But right now, we are looking at the change in value of business during the marriage, and we are starting with the premise that it has been identified as a separate property.